Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wedding Wednesday. It is a rainy Wednesday, but we are really happy to be here with you guys this morning. And as you may or may not have seen, we do have a special guest with us today, Reverend Elizabeth River. So I'm going to add, we will give it just a minute here. And then you will see her lovely face as well as mine.
I'm
Good
here.
morning.
This is an
Wow.
adventure today, Grier.
It is an adventure. It
Let,
is.
let me
Well,
just
I'm
tell
so
you,
glad.
I went to the studio where I was going to do this, and their Wi-Fi was totally whacked out today.
Oh no. Well, that's technology for you. It's our friend and it helps us do so many things, but every so often it decides not to cooperate. So I'm glad we were able to get a workaround and we're here today. And it is a rainy Wednesday. But thank you so much for joining us.
Of course.
So I would like to give everybody a little bit of background about you and then maybe
Thank you.
jump into some questions.
Okay, great.
So, as I've said, my guest this morning, everyone, is Reverend Elizabeth River. She is owner of Marin Coast Weddings. Her great passion is officiating weddings for couples of all ages, gender preferences, and from every background, spiritual tradition, and cultural orientation. She is a storyteller, and she delights in helping her couples tell their unique love story as part of the sacred act of making lifetime vows to one another, either in private elopements, micro weddings, or spectacular weddings with hundreds of guests. So she's well versed in all of those. She was ordained into the interfaith ministry in 2004 and has since celebrated several hundred weddings. So, thank you so much for being here today, Elizabeth, and welcome.
Thank you.
My first question for you today is what called you to become a wedding officiant?
Good question. Thanks, Grier. And yes, I had reached a place in my life where I just got cranky and impatient with um, all of the kind of lightweight relationships that I was having with people. I was in sales, which was okay, but it didn't engage me deeply with people in the way that I wanted. And I liked being with people who engaged deeply with each other. In fact, I noticed I was in love with love. I love people where love is the question. At first, I didn't know it was about weddings. I called what I was attracted to spiritual intimacy. And it could be friendships or old people or young people or anything. But eventually someone asked me to do a wedding and I was hooked. And I had been out of seminary for a little while, a year, almost a year. And I started doing weddings and I found my calling. I love spiritual intimacy with my clients and I love their spiritual intimacy with each other and with their beloved community if they have a big wedding. Does that answer the question? I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the force of love is probably the most powerful in the universe. So I understand being attracted to that. I would say that's a lot of what attracted me to working as a wedding photographer. So that's awesome.
I see
Can
that in your
you
pictures.
describe for us? Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's okay. Why don't you describe for us the typical couples who hire you to officiate their weddings?
Well, we talked about that question, and it's hard because I can't generalize them by class or income category or age or anything. I get couples from every age group there possibly could be. I just had an 89 and 90-year-old get married a year ago, and
Oh my goodness.
and I've had a few 20-year-olds. So there you go. But I will say I made myself sit down and write about it, and what I found out is every single one of my clients that are drawn to me, and then I do their weddings. For them, whether it's a big, huge wedding or a tiny, an elopement, it doesn't matter. For them, the heart of their wedding is their ceremony, and the heart of the ceremony is their love expressed and told and examined and understood and acknowledged and celebrated, and made manifest in lifetime vows that they give to each other. And all of that is where their hearts and minds are centered, whatever size or kind or imagination of a wedding they do. The ceremony and their vows and their relationship expressed in story, in their true, unique story, that's what everybody has in common amongst my clients, couples.
Well, that's beautiful. I wish I had that in written form because I'm going to want to refer back to it several times. That was such an eloquent way of really kind of talking about how you help couples and how powerful these types of ceremonies can be.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that couples should think about the content of their wedding ceremony?
Yes, they again, it's different couples, different kinds of weddings that couples have call for different resources in them and in their relationship, because couples who do put on a great, big, beautiful, gorgeous wedding with all the trimmings and many guests are very stretched to spend a lot of time and energy and attention, and rightly so, on all of those aspects of creating that wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And still, I want couples, and the couples again who hire me, need to spend some very precious time, ideally early on in the process, once they set the date and decide to marry. They need to spend some what we call quality time together, um, working on their ceremony itself. And whether they know all the little aspects of the elements of the ceremony or not, their officiant can help them do that. I help them do that. But they need to know the essence of what they are doing there together. They need to look at what it means to make vows for the rest of your life to another person. And no matter how much in love you are, you can't just keep saying, I vow to love you, I vow to love you, I vow to love you. That doesn't say enough. You really need to take time. And when I get couples who are planning their wedding more than 2 or 3 months in advance, I invite them, and I suggest strongly that they go away for a weekend just to create their vows. Even if they think they want to use traditional vows, so-called traditional vows, they need to know what they are saying to each other, don't you think?
Yeah.
I know you have captured pictures yourself, Grier, of couples at that moment when they are saying their vows to one another. Sometimes they're tearful. I love it when they do that. And they're gripping each other's hands or whatever is showing. It's the most meaningful part of the whole thing. I'm sorry I have this silly umbrella and I'm not a very good camera woman.
Well,
It's a
I can
distraction.
relate to what you've said about the power of the ceremony and the power of the vows. And yeah, I've seen couples get very emotional. And, I'm easily, I'm an emotional person too. So I tend to, I cry at people's weddings, which
Good.
is funny. But I love your umbrella. I think it gives a nice little added burst of color on this otherwise dreary day. So,
One thing I forgot to say, excuse me for interrupting. I know
sure, yeah.
we want to keep this short so people don't, but one more thing about the ceremony, thinking about the ceremony. They also need to, if it isn't just an elopement and just them, they also need to spend time thinking of what they want their whole ceremony to say. Where is the meaning and the central, what message are they conveying to their beloved community?
Yes.
That's just an add-on to that about the vows.
All right. All right. Awesome. Well, all kinds of great tips for people to think about. I particularly loved your idea of going away for a weekend together and thinking about vows and discussing them and really planning them in a mindful way. I think that's a wonderful piece of advice. So thank you for being with us. I did put contact info for you in the description of this video. And I just wanted to ask, is there a best way to contact you or a preferred way?
Well, I like, I, I hate having to say this to people, but you can text me, but I live in a rural area, and at my very house, that's why I'm not at home doing this. At my very house, there, I can't get texts. So, but you can try texting me. You can use the phone that's in my contact information. You can email me, and you can even sign up for a little, going to my website, which is in the contact information. Is that right, Grier?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, go to my website, and then on the contact page, it shows you where you can sign up for a little complimentary talk about your wedding.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for joining us on this rainy Wednesday, surprisingly so, in the middle of May. It's been great to get the chance to talk to you. And thank you, everyone who was able to be here live with us today. And to those of you who will be watching later as well. Elizabeth, thank you again for your time. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
All right. Goodbye for now.
Bye for now.